Welcome into another edition of Buffalo Game Day Recap. I'm AJ Feldman. Joining me shortly from Orchard Park is Sports Director Thad Brown. With the Patriots' loss to the Colts last night, the Bills control their own destiny to win the AFC East. Win their last 4 games, they keep the division crown and host a home playoff game. The Bills checked off step 1 this afternoon, taking care of business against the Carolina Panthers. We now bring in Sports Director Thad Brown. Now, Thad, not a whole lot to say about this one. The defense played well against another bad offense. The Bills' offense did enough. What do you have to take away from this game here?
Well, AJ, I think you summed it up right off the bat. The Bills handled their business in this game. Now, look, let's be fair. There was not much of a threat in this Carolina Panthers team. This is not a game the Bills really had to worry about winning most of the way through. There were some positives to take away. First of all, I like the fact that some of the, maybe lesser weapons or secondary weapons, I think is the best way to put it, had good games. This was not the Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley show. Dawson Knox didn't really continue it throughout the whole game, but 4 catches, 39 yards was okay early. And, of course, Gabriel Davis had 2 touchdowns, 5 catches, was a big part of this game. Defensively, the D-line stepped up, had a few sacks, which is, an improvement for them. F.A. Obata, a couple back-to-back takedowns of former teammate Cam Newton. And you had to like the way the Bills were able to manage all the offensive line chaos. Deion Dawkins goes on the COVID list late in the week. Then John Feliciano goes on the list early this morning, and the Bills were fine. Obviously, the first couple drives were a borderline train wreck, but they settled down from there, were able to score plenty of points, and, won this game going away. On the negative side, although Josh Allen looked just about unlimited when it came to that foot sprain, he was loose with the ball in a couple bad spots today. The fumble early, that if that bounces a different way, the Panthers could have been up 8-0 quickly, and that might have changed a lot of the complexion of this game. And then the interception at the end of the first half, not necessarily the worst pass ever, although to me it looked exactly like the interception he threw against the Jets down at MetLife Stadium about a month ago. But for me, you're up 14-0. There was no reason to force something there or to not be careful with the ball. In total control of the game, and really that interception was the only reason Carolina had any sort of life in this contest. But look, overall the Bills did exactly what they were supposed to do, and that's despite being dealt a couple curveballs, like I said, late in the week with Dawkins and Feliciano. Sean McDermott said that he found out about Feliciano between 9 and 10 a.m. this morning, and from there the Bills had to figure out exactly what to do. Managing that and doing it successfully was a big part of how Buffalo scored a very important 31-14 win.
I saw John last night, in fact, around meetings, and he was fine, that I could tell. And then we got the heads up this morning, and so we went into action. And I credit the players, credit the coaches, just next man up approach, and they went out there and executed. In the last couple of days, I know it hasn't been easy on some of those guys. Daryl, Cody, and Spence all kind of having to change positions, and I was super happy that those guys stepped up and played really well today. These last 2 weeks have been hard. We got a lot of competitive guys in that locker room, and they want to win. And to come up short in the last 2 weeks, against 2 good football teams, especially with a chance to win it in the fourth quarter, those are tough. So hopefully, down the stretch, we will have learned from those situations and gotten better as a football team.
Now, Feliciano was not the only curveball the Bills got thrown late here on this Sunday morning. Panthers kicker Zane Gonzalez injured himself during warm-ups, and the Panthers did not have a kicker for the whole game. Obviously bad for them, but the Bills now had to defend all 4 downs all game long because the Panthers weren't going to try any kicks at the end of after 3rd down. Harrison Phillips said that during the game, the Bills had to start treating 3rd down like 2nd down. And Sean McDermott said, too, that it did put the team in a bind, adding, quote, "We weren't sure if on 3rd down they were going to traditionally pass the ball and drop back like teams would normally do, or if the Panthers would use more read option stuff. But I thought we handled it pretty well." AJ, let's go back to the studio for your take on this game, the win for the Bills over the Panthers.
Yeah, Thad, like you said, Josh Allen, he definitely looked healthy, and other than the final score, if the Bills came away with win or not, I think that was going to be the biggest takeaway. Is Josh Allen healthy? How is his foot sprain? Can he do all the things that he needs to do? And I think the answer to that is yes. He looked very healthy. He did, Josh Allen things. He only ran the ball really 1 time, so maybe they tried to run him less. Allen said it was kind of more the game plan. I'm not sure if I totally buy that. They probably didn't want to run him, 5, 10, 15 times. It usually does. As you mentioned, the offensive line shuffled around a lot of things thrown their way, Dawkins and Feliciano with the COVID. But once again, they didn't really do that good. And Spencer Brown, specifically at left tackle, this was their contingency plan if Deion Dawkins went out for anyway. Going into this season, you know, I don't know if they expected him to start at right tackle, but he was their guy at left tackle as a backup to Deion Dawkins. Now, nobody really has a great answer at backup left tackle. It just doesn't happen. But to rely on a rookie at left tackle who had never played it before left tackle other than in training camp when Dawkins went out for COVID, I think that's who knows how long Dawkins is going to be out going forward. And certainly you don't want to see Spencer Brown commit 5 penalties like he did today. The defense, once again, a good performance against a bad offense. But once again, they didn't really get the turnovers that they needed. It's not going to be a difference against the Panthers where, 3 interceptions go through their hands and, we shake it off because we can stop Cam Newton on the next play. That's not going to be the case against the Patriots. A tough game, a divisional opponent. You need those plays. They always harp on those turnovers. Once again, they're not really coming in bunches like they have in the past. And as you mentioned, those secondary players, Gabriel Davis, stepping up big time once again, 4 touchdowns in 3 games, especially with this offensive line playing, so poorly lately. The Bills need guys who can beat their men in coverage, in single coverage, especially if they're going to, bracket Stephon Diggs. Gabriel Davis has proven that he can do that, especially with Emmanuel Sanders out. He's going to have to do that going forward. I really like the way he's played the last couple of weeks. Let's head back out to Orchard Park, and, I already talked about it a little bit before. All eyes now turning to the Patriots and that AFC clash coming up next week in Foxborough.
Yeah, AJ, before we talk about that real quick, I just want to go back to the point you made about using a rookie at left tackle. Like you said, look, no one's backup left tackle is great, but in addition, no one's tackle usually fares pretty well against this pair of Carolina pass rushers. Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick, 2 of the best in the league, certainly 2 of the best on the same team. So it was a tough ask for Brown, not only having to play the position as a rookie, but having to do it in this particular game. Now, the way the results have shook out from the AFC East this weekend, Bills, Patriots next week, you look at the schedule for both teams after next week's game, neither team has really a challenge following their meeting in Foxborough next weekend. So really what it is, that game next Sunday, day after Christmas in New England, that's a de facto AFC championship game or AFC East championship game. Now, Sean McDermott and most of his players paid at least some attention to the Patriots game last night. And although the Bills want to take their customary 24 hours to enjoy this win over the Panthers, they know it probably won't really last that long.
We all know who we have next week. It's no secret. But, we'll get on to them tomorrow and enjoy this one. But from here on out, I talked about it earlier. Every game from here on out for us is a playoff game, and we got to treat it as such.
I think a lot of guys had the game on last night and watched the Colts go up early on and kind of forcing them to get one-dimensional and, throw the ball that way. So, have some good film to break down. We know what they did against us, so, if they want to copycat that again, we'll try to be more prepared.
I know guys would be excited, obviously, based off what happened last time, just to have another, go around at it. We know it's going to be, a good challenge for us, and, guys are going to be ready.
We've got to keep it about us, and, this will be a game. They came in here and beat us last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it's been. So obviously we have some adjusting to do, and we've got to have a good week of preparation.
Now, not every member of the Bills was totally dialed into Patriots-Colts last night. In fact, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde fought hard against any implication that that game last night in any way interrupted their focus for this game against the Panthers today. Josh Allen, a little bit more practical. He said, quote, "That game was a little bit past my bedtime." Hey, look, these guys got to be up early for a 1 o'clock start in Orchard Park. AJ, let's go back to you for more on the numbers from the game between the Bills and the Panthers.
Yeah, Thad, taking a look at those numbers, Josh Allen, a decent day, 19 for 34, 210 yards, had 3 touchdowns, but of course the 1 interception that kind of got the Panthers back into this game. A strong day from Devin Singletary on the ground, his best of the season, 22 carries, 86 yards, 1 touchdown. He was really the only guy in the Bills' backfield today. Zach Moss inactive once again. Matt Breida not really a factor. Motor steps up big for the Bills. And Gabriel Davis, another strong game, 5 catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been a big weapon for them, especially now with Emmanuel Sanders out. They look for him to continue that performance going forward. Over on the other sideline, Cam Newton, not as great of a day, much more effective on the ground than through the air. 18 for 38, 156 yards, a touchdown and an interception late in the game. Did do some work on the ground. 15 carries for 71 yards, had that 1 score late in the second quarter to make this one close. DJ Moore, not a great day for any of the Panthers pass catchers. 6 catches for 48 yards. Did have that really nice 2-point conversion, one-handed catch. And as you mentioned, Zane Gonzalez injured during pregame warmups. The Panthers going without a kicker. So a lot of interesting scenarios the Panthers had to play through today with that kicker injury. Now, as we mentioned, Spencer Brown, a tough day for the right tackle, converted over to left tackle. 5 penalties, beaten by his men constantly throughout the day. And then late in the second half, a taunting penalty, just not a good look for the rookie. Taken out by Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, after the game, talked about his rookie's performance and what he said to him on the sidelines after that penalty.
Yeah, you know, he's a good player, young player for us, and he showed his youth. And so I just wanted to settle him down and remind him it was all about the team. And I think in the end, this will be a good learning opportunity for him.
I thought he'd be an idiot and hurt my team, quite honestly. I mean, can't happen. Doesn't matter. We can't sit here and use the excuse of, oh, he flipped left tackle. He's probably new to it. I mean, you can't sit here and use that as an excuse. Hurts the team. Can't happen. And going into next week, if Deion's back, hopefully he is. I don't know his situation, but if not, I got to go into next week and learn how to play left tackle just a little bit better and get the penalties down. I mean, obviously hurts teams, kills drives. Can't happen.
Now, I did ask Brown about his touchdown celebration with Stephon Diggs, where they got a beer from the crowd. Brown drank it, poured it all over himself. Said he didn't really remember much about it. Says that he told Stephon Diggs he owes him a beer for that touchdown, and added that after the game he was kind of smelling like beer the entire rest of the way. Let's go back out to Thad in Orchard Park, where another former Panther, many former Panthers on this Bills team, he stepped up big against his former team.
Yeah, AJ, in this game, the Bills had 4 sacks, and, getting pressure on the quarterback has been an issue all year long. 3 of those sacks came from defensive linemen and 2 from F.A. Obata, very recently, of the Carolina Panthers. It was a big step up for the Bills' defensive line to have that much production and success. And for Obata, he got the opportunity finally to sack Cam Newton, a guy he went up against in practice so many times when both played for the Panthers.
When I was playing with him, he used to have the red jersey, so it was very, that was the quickest ride to go home if you hit him. But now it felt really good to hit him now. I asked for his jersey, so I'm putting that out here now so I can hold him accountable.
Great player, and he just comes to work every day, does his job, so it's exciting to see him get, I think he had 2. Yeah, he had, I think, back-to-back plays, 2 sacks. Extremely happy for him.
Confidence is one hell of a drug in the NFL. So them boys up front get confidence, then get up to the quarterback. We'll be excited on the back end.
Yeah, we'll see if the Bills can continue that. Of course, getting pressure on the quarterback, a big negative for most of the season. If they can develop it down the stretch, and really, this is the time when the Bills will need it, it could be a huge, huge boost. Now, let's be fair in this game. Look, the Bills did what they had to do, got the win, and Josh Allen, last time we were here talking about a Bills game was after the loss to the Patriots. Allen, after the game, said, everything is still right in front of us. He was right then, and he's right again now because of the way this weekend is gone. The Bills will go to Foxborough with a chance to take the division lead and very likely win it, with home games against the Falcons and Jets following games the Bills should win. But the Bills got to play a whole lot better than they did in this game against the Panthers. They got away with probably, their B- game. That's not going to fly up in Foxborough. Getting Dion Dawkins and or John Feliciano back for next week's game is going to be very, very huge. I think Dawkins matters more than Feliciano. Obviously, both would be better. But if this offensive line we saw against the Panthers today goes up to New England and has to play or start, the Bills are going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Josh Allen has to be smarter with the ball, and it's going to be a grind fest for sure. New England, I think they got caught with their pants down a little bit last night in Indianapolis, weren't ready to go. That will not be the case next week up in Foxborough. All the things the Bills have done this year, the ups, the downs, the losses, the surprises, the Jags loss, all the dumb things that have happened, Bills get a win next week. We're right back on schedule with Buffalo in front in the AFC East. That's all I got here from Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. AJ, let's go back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Thad. Yeah, all eyes going to be on that Patriots game. I am sure, you saw the way that the Bills defense kind of reacted at the post-game press conference after that Patriots game. I think they're going to be fired up to prove they can stop the run. I think they're going to be fired up to prove they can shut down Mac Jones. And I think the offense is going to be fired up where, even with the way that weather was going in that game, I know that they expected more on themselves than just the measly points that they put up against the Patriots. That'll be a huge game. We will be all week covering along on RochesterFirst.com and right here on News 8. After the game, we'll be back to wrap it up on Buffalo Game Day Recap. We thank you for watching. We thank you for joining us. For Thad Brown, I'm AJ Feldman. Thank you so much for watching Buffalo Game Day Recap. As I said, we will be back here next week, same time, same place. Have a Merry Christmas and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.